It's Elite POV, coming live to your area on twitch.tv.
Let's fucking go!
We are your number one place for everything in the world of all elite wrestling. And just remember, when you're with us, you'll always be elite.
Yo, it's clear to see when you open up your feed that ain't nobody better than Elite POV. We bring the heat to your screen every week, cause ain't nobody better than Elite POV. So understand every time that we speak that ain't nobody better than Elite POV. Our 3 letters is all you'll ever need, cause ain't nobody better than Elite POV.
This is how we're starting. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Elite POV, where it's podcast time.
But not now.
And
Yo,
you know
in
what
your
that
head,
means.
you were about to. Good morning, Elite.
Yeah, because we were talking about it beforehand, though. It popped because I saw Ant start giggling over there, and then
Because I knew in your head you were saying "Good morning, Elite." So
true.
Yeah, it happened.
It's so very true. But I'm one of your hosts, Phil Cataldo, and you can call me Philium, alongside the Giggle Master, Anthony DeStefano. What's up?
Oh, yeah, listen, I'm not to me. What the hell?
Yeah, the
Giggle Master. I'm Kyle Masters. Damn it!
Listen, you don't own the last name, all right? Fucking WWE.
I own that last name.
No, now you're just Kyle. We just took your last name.
Yeah.
Welcome to WWE, pal. Yeah. Sorry, pal. Bunch of cuts. I'm good. I'm good. I can't believe I usually I'm called the Tickle Monster, but I guess I'll be the Giggle Monster tonight.
I'm leaving that.
I'm excited. I get to go to Dynamite next week and Rampage, and then you guys probably won't hear from me for about 2 weeks. Even though I'm going to be at the show, so I'm not going to get to brag about being on the show. Like, hey guys, in case you didn't know, I was at the show last night. Like Phil did for
be talking about
3 episodes
straight.
A minute
21 into the one match, you can see me. I'm like that guy way in the back with the handheld. That's me.
Yeah, like the guy that was going nuts was right in front of me because did I mention I was there last night?
Listen, we all have our things. You have a very successful career, right?
Yeah,
Kyle is extremely handsome, right?
Whoa.
Jacky is the most famous person I know,
hey,
and I go to AEW shows.
Well,
we all have our thing.
I know, but like Phil, you have that lawsuit out, the cease and desist, because WrestleMania, I was there. They stole your whole slogan. That was your whole gimmick, brother.
They stole my gimmick.
I have about 3 shirts that say that, so I'm sorry. Maybe those royalties should have gone to you.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. But the other man giggling over there, we have Canadian Prince Kyle Masters. What's up?
Yo, what's up? Good morning. No, I'm not gonna do that.
It's so loud when you do it. Every Saturday, I'm like, fuck.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah, hey, thank you.
It's like it's the rooster crowing in the morning.
How we get people up in the morning? I hate when my door. So obviously, my door right here, right, and
right,
I just bought the house, right?
Like, where?
All right, it's audio listeners. Off to my right, right. There's a door right here. And it barely closes. And now it's doing this new thing where it just magically pushes itself open.
Because love is an open door.
Yeah, love is an open door, right? We finish each other's sandwiches.
That's what I was going to say.
And with all that said, and all this nonsense, we're welcoming back the only person on this show who's professional. The Draw, Jacky Rodriguez. What is up?
What's up, everyone? It's so good to be back. That week felt like an eternity, but I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who showed love in the last episode. Going through some stuff, some personal loss, but it's really good to be back.
Yeah, and as you can hear, Phil's fingers typing. But you know what it said in saying? You don't need to have a rooster to have a Kyle.
Yep.
No.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Now,
you don't have to have a rooster to be a cock.
That too.
I knew it was coming.
That's right.
Well, I mean, listen, that's what roosters do. They come.
Wow. All right. Well, with that being said, let's get into some news that I want to bring up, and I want to get people's opinions on. Just something real quick. So we saw this week the mayhem and the chaos that can happen when you kind of throw somebody on TV without doing a little bit of research first. And we don't have to spend a long time on this, but I definitely think it's something we should mention. So on Tuesday, Brian Kendrick gets released from the WWE. And then Tuesday night, we get the graphic that it's him versus Moxley on Dynamite. Wednesday morning, we wake up. That gets changed, and it ends up being Wheeler Yuta. Does any one of us want to talk about this? Because I feel like it's just
I think we should hand off to Jacky.
Yeah.
Hand off to Jacky Wheeler Yuta.
Why? Because you want me to talk about the match, or you want me to talk about?
No, not the match. Just the chaos with the whole Kendrick situation.
Just you had some strong opinions on it yesterday.
Yeah, I just think that it was the right choice. There was a lot of now. I'm gonna preface this by saying that I was unaware that any of this drama and controversy had taken place prior to it being all over Twitter yesterday. I have not followed Brian Kendrick's career post WWE. I didn't follow it when he was in WWE, so that should tell you something. So I had no clue. But once everything started surfacing, it started with the rumblings and people talking about the things that he believed or at one point, and then the video started coming up where there's footage of him talking about these things. And it's like, you can't really ignore it. It's right there, dead smack in the face. Mm-hmm. Whether they should have known about it prior is a non-issue. They reacted to it and they did the right thing. They pivoted and said, you know what, we're going to change it up. We're going to have him off the show and we're going to replace him with somebody else. I think it was the right call. And I hope that he's learned a valuable lesson from all of this.
Yeah, it's something we have to remember. I know that on this show and on all shows on Twitter all day long, we criticize people for making the wrong decisions. So I think it's good to kind of acknowledge when people make the right decision. And it was definitely the right decision to remove.
Still got criticized.
Well, of course he does, because God forbid. But I think it was the right decision. Mm-hmm. There's drama attached to it, and just like Jacky said, like, Brian Kendrick isn't the most popular wrestler in the world. So if he's going to say something on a shoot interview, you might never hear it, right? You might, but Twitter are like the best detectives. They will find what you did in the first grade. You push the little girl off the slide, your whole career is ruined.
You're canceled.
All right. But in this instant, it's actually worth it because he did say something really fucking stupid. Now, we're not going to say what he said on here. It's very easy. You could do your research. But I definitely, before the show started, wanted to give Tony Khan a shout out for changing that match and then doing something really cool, which is putting Wheeler Yuta in there. Now, get this man a graphic because
guy's a workhorse,
he needs one because he's great. Yeah, he's so good.
He's filled in everywhere.
Yeah. And we can transition right over to that match. So, Kyle, what'd you think of Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta to start the show this week?
Oh, man, great opening contest, man. And, you're starting off with Jon Moxley, which is also great. Love having him back. The crowds. We've talked about this before. AEW always starts off their shows hot. It's always a big match, and look how they start off this show. Moxley, he's facing a guy like Wheeler Yuta, but they did the perfect add-on in adding Orange Cassidy and Danhausen to this match as like just a ringside. And shout out to Kerry, the head booker in the chat. We gotta talk about Kerry later on.
Late night Kerry.
Yeah,
Kerry, what time is it for you? Write it in the chat.
Like 3 a.m., right?
Yeah.
2 a.m.
But yeah, great opening. I love the whole Danhausen and the crowd. Like, it's insane how over this guy is. This guy, as soon as he stepped on the stage, you heard it.
Yeah.
And then freaking in the match, Let's Go Moxley, Danhausen. The guy's not even in the ring, and he's getting chanted.
Hilarious. And then he did the spot where he curses Moxley.
Oh yeah. Do you see him tweet? He retweeted the video and it put sorry at Renee Paquette.
Oh yeah. Because he did her podcast like a while ago.
Yeah.
And she was like, I thought we were friends.
It was great. Moxley looks great, and then what happened after was even better. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and what did you think of the opening match this week?
I loved it. I mean, obviously, I love seeing Mox back. He's one of my favorites. So anytime I can see a Jon Moxley match, I'm in. I'm not the biggest Brian Kendrick fan anyway, as Phil knows. Like, I don't really give a fuck about the guy. Like, to me, it's like, why are you giving that guy a match when Buddy Murphy's out there? Like, what? Why? Buddy Murphy's fucking 1,000 times better than this dude, right? But I mean, I love that Wheeler Yuta stepped in, and again, like it just shows how versatile is. Wheeler Yuta is a guy that you don't think of, but like he would be someone really cool in that, like, and we'll talk about it, the Moxley Bryan faction. If Wheeler Yuta kind of like turned on the best friends and became like this ruthless, wrestler with technician and stuff like that, I think that would be super cool. And I think it would give him more of a purpose. Right now, he feels like a utility player. It's great to have a utility player, right? Like, in baseball, the Phillies have someone that can play first base, outfield, third base in case someone gets hurt. It's great to have Wheeler Yuta because he can do all those things for you. But when is he going to have his own identity? And I think that's the only thing that's missing for him becoming, a nice star in this company.
What about you, Jackie? What'd you think of all this?
Thought the opening match was great. Shout out to Wheeler Yuta. I don't know how much time they had to go over anything in terms of, getting that match ready to go, but they were solid. The chemistry was good. Moxley, I can't say enough about Moxley since he's been back. He looks great. He looks healthy. I loved seeing Danhausen out there with his shenanigans. But all in all, the biggest moment of that to me, obviously, was Danielson coming out at the end and trying to recruit Moxley for this crusade that he's on now to take the younger guys and mold them into. He took some shots. Like he took a shot. They're saying there's no reason a millennial cowboy should be the AEW champ. No reason that a guy who thinks he's a dinosaur should be half of the tag team champs, and so on and so forth. He criticized Sammy Guevara for his
vlog killer, Bryan Danielson.
But he's got a thing. He's got a thing for champions. You ever notice that? All his losses in AEW, he hasn't been able to beat a champion. He couldn't beat Kenny Omega. He couldn't beat Hangman Page.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just him taking shots almost in a tongue-in-cheek way. The way that, a lot of AEW naysayers take shots about certain angles, certain storylines and stuff like that. The approach was really great. Danielson is like that really convincing heel. And he did tell Moxley, I'm going to give you some time to think about it. So we're going to see how this plays out going into the next few weeks. Is Moxley going to turn? Who knows?
I definitely want to get your... Oh, Cal, go ahead.
I was just gonna quickly say that he gave ups to Wheeler Yuta, like we were mentioning.
Yeah,
like
he did.
Like he put over like Bryan Danielson put over. We were all popped when he said Daniel Garcia, and we were all like fantasy booking like, okay, when's this Cobra Kai style faction gonna start, and why isn't it not starting next week? But like they mentioned Wheeler Yuta, and I'm like, okay, that's high praise for a guy like Bryan Danielson to consider him if they ever wanted to do that kind of faction. So. Big ups to Wheeler Yuta there for getting mentioned by Bryan Danielson.
And I think the cool thing is, and I want to get your opinion on this first, is like we all assumed it was going to be them going against each other. Like how shocking was it that they might be forming, kind of like Kyle said, a Cobra Kai style, training center, right? And not only the Daniel Garcias, the Wheeler Yutas, but the Lee Moriarty's. Like, I think it'd be cool to see where they can go. Like, how shocked were you that it's actually might go in like their friends around?
I mean, I think it's a cool little swerve, but eventually it's still going to be Moxley versus Danielson. I think this was a cool mention. It kind of took me back to when like Moxley was going to join the Inner Circle and they're going to have the party, the celebration, and Moxley turned and was like, fuck you, I'm doing this by myself. But I mean, with this roster, it definitely helps if they're in a faction together, right? Because then you can have them do stuff and it kind of takes them out of the title picture, but they're still important in a way where they're working on stuff. So I want it to happen, but I do think it's just almost like a ruse to kind of get us all talking. And then eventually Moxley and Danielson are going to fight at Revolution anyway. That's just what I think. But, Moriarty, Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta with those guys in a faction would be so phenomenal. It would be awesome. It would put a lot of bright lights on these younger guys. And, I've been watching a lot of, before bed, I watch the on Jackie's Peacock. Thank you, Jackie. On the network, a lot of WCW stuff. And one thing I've noticed with WCW, right? And WCW, I loved WCW, but one thing they did is they never knew how to build stars. They built Goldberg, and then they killed him because the talent was booking their matches, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was, but here it's like they're finding these stars and they are building them. Like, we'll get to the main event, obviously, but last night's the perfect example of a mistake WCW would have made, would be CM Punk winning and killing all momentum MJF has. That didn't happen. And that's props to Tony Khan, because it's a lot easier to say, hey, Punk's going to win in Chicago. He's going to get the hero's welcome. I love what they're doing. I love that these swerves are happening with Danielson and Mox. I love what they're doing with the House of Black. There's so many moving parts where people feel important, but yet Andrade can't still get on fucking in the ring.
Oh.
That's my
He's got a new
only
shirt, though.
okay.
Yo,
Well,
all his
maybe
shirts
Great
are
new
awful.
shirt.
Take your money.
Fantastic.
All his shirts are
Take-
awful.
I know, they're
need to
really
take
bad.
your
get a
money.
new designer for him, because what are they doing, man? Malachi Black's shirts are all bangers. Everyone. Adam Cole's shirts, all bangers. Orange Cassidy, bangers. All these bangers. Even the Young Bucks just released. I saw an update like a couple minutes before we went live. They just released this
That reminds
weird
me of
looking
Blink
hat.
182. That's like a Blink 182 style shirt
Yeah.
they just released.
But not the shirt. I saw the hat version.
The hat.
Okay.
Banger, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense for them. Then Andrade comes out, and it's Andrade's shirts are like those, like
The crappy
you know when
WWE
you're walking.
shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, no. You know when you're walking out of a concert
Yeah.
and they have like those
Those
shirts, and
guys.
you're like, that's not a real
T-shirt,
shirt.
yeah,
You definitely
get your
just-
T-shirt. Get
Yeah,
your concert
that's
T-shirt.
what it looks like.
Johnson.
It looks so
Philadelphia.
bad. It looks so bad. And I mean, we
It's,
can just jump right into the
what-
Punk MJF match. And before we get into it, the one thing that I want to build on what
we're
you said.
skipping all the fun stuff. We're skipping.
We're
We're
jumping
I
around.
had-
This is the
I-
sec.
I had
Well,
hot.
we're
jumping
I had a
around,
hot
Carrie,
take.
get out of my head. I was
Uh-huh.
I was
Listen,
waiting.
we'll get to
hot
your
take.
hot take, but you brought it up, so I want to definitely expand on what you said. So something that I didn't even realize. So for these almost 3 years that AEW has been on television, they always have the hometown person win, right? Always.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The hometown wins. You give the hometown crowd what they want. You make them happy. Praise them for it. But I think it's time to praise them for making the smart decision here. And yes, it would have been easy for Punk to win in his hometown. You get the pop right now, but you kill MJF's momentum now. And me and Carrie were talking about this earlier today or yesterday. No, earlier today. And we were saying she was saying how it's pretty cool that Punk and Danielson's losses were two younger talents, right? To Hangman and to MJF, their first loss in the company. So it's cool that even though, yes, you're highlighting Danielson and you're highlighting Punk and you're highlighting Kenny and you're all these like kind of legends in pro wrestling, you're also at the same time miraculously building the next generation. You're building Hangman, you're building Darby, you're building MJF.
It's because. Go ahead,
Go
Kyle.
ahead.
I was gonna say, do you see that tweet? Someone tweeted like that's how you put over a young talent, Jericho. You don't beat him in the rematch because that's what he did to MJF in the rematch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah, but let's be all right. So I just want to be real here. We all know that I think we've had the discussion that MJF's probably going to be your next world champion, right?
Mhm.
And I think we all feel that way. I know, it looks like Adam Cole's kind of pausing. We talked about this last night on our chat. Like Adam Cole's kind of pausing. Adam Cole has all this momentum. He loses to Orange Cassidy, and now he's like, I need to refocus. I need to chase it. So I think you're going to see Adam Cole build himself up. But I think MJF's going to be winning that title sooner than we think. With Kenny's long title run, Moxley's long title run, everyone's had really long title runs. Eventually, that cycle is going to get broken. I think MJF's going to break it because Hangman's a great champion. But for Hangman, we're going to cheer harder for him to get it back once it's stolen from him, right? We're going to cheer harder for him to climb that mountain again. And we're gonna, get back on the horse, no pun intended. Maybe it was, but
plus we say this all the time with babyface champions. The story's in the chase, not in the title.
the story. I mean,
run.
after WrestleMania 30, the greatest underdog story of all time, besides the Eagles beating the Patriots in Super Bowl 52, when Daniel Bryan held those two titles up, right? When Bryan held those two titles up in the air, we were all going nuts, and then we were like, but now what? Like we wanted it and it happened, and it was like, but now what? Luckily, Hangman avoided the now what because he's putting on 5-star matches every time he gets in a fucking ring. but that's going to make us want him to keep it. So when he loses it, we're going to be like, no, 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 get it back, get it back. And that's where the story is going to be told. And maybe Punk gets his back and wins the title in Chicago at All Out.
Maybe, right? And maybe not. I wouldn't do it this year. Maybe next year or something. But Jacky, what did you think of just the match in itself between MJF and Punk? Because I know even us watching together live, we were shocked it went the full 45 minutes.
Yeah,
I
I
fell asleep.
was 100% certain when I saw that there was 40 minutes left in the show and they were starting the main event. I said, there's going to be some shenanigans. I said, what if MJF pulls a gauntlet match out of his back pocket and makes, Punk fight every member of the Pinnacle before he gets the final match with MJF? I was expecting all sorts of things except for them to go the full freaking 40 minutes and just throw out a complete banger like that. They went everywhere. They were in the crowd. They were outside the ring. They were freaking throwing. Oh, Punk got thrown into the ring post, arm first. He sold a lot of injuries in that, but nobody was selling those injuries like MJF was. Oh my God. Like he gets hurt and he's like screaming bloody murder. I think that it's a lost art for heels to really make their baby faces shine by selling the shit out of everything. And MJF does that to the T.
I think it's safe to say too, though, Jacky, and I think I don't know if you said this, someone said it, is MJF's ring work is overlooked so much, but that guy in the past 6 months has put on some classic matches for AEW between Darby and now Punk. Like we all know he can talk, but last night he showed he can fucking go.
He's been showing it, more and more these days. And MJF was somebody that I loved to hate. And I just found him so incredibly obnoxious, which is the point. You're supposed to hate him. But now I'm starting to find myself like, shit, like, am I starting to like kind of like this push that he's getting? All I know is that when the 1, 2, 3 was freaking hit, I'm like, this was the right freaking choice. It didn't matter that they were in Chicago, CM Punk's hometown. It didn't matter that CM Punk was undefeated. MJF going over was 150% the right choice to really take this feud to the next level and to really put MJF on the match. On the map.
Yo, rather. Phil, I have a question for you, Phil. So I'm going to take the hosting for a second because in that match, I rewatched it. I was fucking so beat from work. I passed. I woke up. I'm like, they're like, oh my God, that match was awesome. I'm like, guys, I think I fell asleep for the last 5 minutes. And then I text them, okay, I fell asleep for the last 20 minutes because I don't remember any of this shit, right? But what I do remember is that they had that almost dusty finish with, Punk getting choked out. How did you feel? Because I felt like that was like, that was the building point of the match. Like that was the middle of the match where you're like, oh man, it's over. And then after that, it was just balls to the wall for like 25 minutes of just crazy shit happening. How did you feel that affected the match? Do you think that was the right call? Because now MJF could say, oh, I beat him twice. Look at me. I beat him twice. Or do you think
I don't know if it was the match? All right. So I don't know if it was the right call, but seeing how they ended it, like in the time, like in the moment, I was like there's still like 30 minutes left or whatever, 20 minutes left. How, like, what's going on? And we were talking the whole night, like, is there another match? Because, AEW packs these shows out like to the second. So you're always expecting something else. Like, oh, are they going to, there was rumors that there might be a big debut because it's Chicago and it's a big show. And a lot of the people, the WWE wrestlers who had 90 days, they all came up yesterday. So it was like, what are we gonna see? What's gonna happen? And no, they just restarted the match, but it was cool because it ended in such a way where you're like, oh, they actually fucking did it. They had the balls to have MJF actually win, and it makes sense because when you restart the match, you're like, all right,
everyone thinks Punk's winning. Yeah, this is
good guy 101. The bad guy cheated to win, but he got caught, so they restarted. Like, but no, like this is where AEW does a great job at keeping us on our toes and kind of expect the unexpected. Like we remember back to when Orange Cassidy won in picture and how just like, wait, what? Like it's over. And I love that they do these like every couple of months where they'll do something we never expected. And to me, in the moment, I didn't really like it, but now seeing the whole story, it makes perfect sense, and it was great.
But like one thing I always shit on, right, is I say AEW's production needs to get a little bit sharper, right? We talked about that a couple weeks ago when they were missing camera things. The fact that Wardlow, this camera angle was perfect. Wardlow was able to drop the ring to MJF, and none of us knew that. That is perfect camera work, because you're like, how did he get the ring? And then they replay and show how sneaky it was.
I honestly thought
Kyle,
he was
what
wrestling
did you
with
think
it.
of that?
I honestly thought he was wrestling with the ring the entire match before I saw the replay. I'm like, this man had that ring in his shorts the entire
Oh, can you
match.
imagine?
Banging around.
I mean, he's
It
done
became
it
a
before.
cock ring after the Pepsi plunge.
Oh no!
But Kyle, what did you think of this match? And really specifically talk about like how it popped you that Punk pulled out the Pepsi plunge for the first time. I think Sean Ross Sapp in 17 years.
Yeah, as soon as he locked in the arms, I knew what he was doing. I'm like, holy shit! Like what? I instantly started thinking like, did we see this in WWE? Could not think of a time he did that.
Well, he couldn't use it in WWE because that's my move.
That's what. And then I'm like, oh wait, yeah, he couldn't because
a little too pedigree-esque.
Yeah, and then Ring of Honor is the last time he pulled that move out, and then I just remember like hardcore when CM Punk started doing his best in the world stuff in WWE. People were like, hey, break out the Pepsi plunge. You're starting to break out some of your Ring of Honor.
How is it
stuff.
that like the most dangerous move in wrestling? Like as a wrestler, you put so many like wear and tear.
You land on your knees from like a higher distance than the regular pedigree. So
that's what I'm saying. If anything, the Pepsi plunge, I'd rather be MJF taking it. Like whatever, you hit your face, you figured out, but like you're gonna destroy your knees.
So it's dangerous for the person doing it. So there you go.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, great match.
And I like that Punk sold the knee after.
Yeah.
Punk sold that knee hard after.
I think he actually got it a little bit hurt because he looked like it was dinged up a little bit. Look, there's some blood coming from his knee. So I think that might have been the table spot from the outside. But anyways, we just got to point out that this man, at his age and at this point of his career, he just got back into wrestling not too long ago, just pulled off a 40-minute match. Like, that's not something easy to do. And I went and did some research. So this is confirmed. CM Punk's second longest match in history. So his longest match
I did not know
his longest match in WWE was only 33 minutes, and that was the Cena and him at Money in the Bank in 2011. That was his longest match in WWE ever. He had 2 one-hour draws in Ring of Honor before against Samoa Joe, but his longest match ever came at IWA Mid-South Wrestling in 2003, where he had a 2 out of 3 falls match with Chris Hero that went 92 minutes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
To be on the indies and to be young.
Out of 3 falls match, that was his longest match to date.
That's insanity, 92.
Yeah, and
I do think the UFC conditioning does have something to do with like how he was able to do that so quickly, because those guys are freaks in conditioning. Like they condition very hard.
Is really high.
So I think that played in Punk's favor coming back, because he hasn't really looked blown up that much since coming back. And we know he's been training MMA still. He still does it for fun. So
yeah, but back to the match. MJF still had to use, like Kerry said, MJF still had to cheat to win, regardless. I'm glad that he didn't do a clean finish at the end. He still needed to cheat. And then Wardlow, interestingly enough, helped MJF with all that's been going on. So that was interesting. But we did see him with that weird, awkward glare at MJF.
Because Wardlow wants him all for himself, baby. Wardlow wants to kill him himself.
Destroy him.
Yeah. So he's like,
God, please.
So
he's like, chill. What is chill, Omega, or chill, Kenny, or what did that guy say? Chill, cleaner. I got this. He's like, chill, Punk. I got this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he wants to kill him.
I was here on the show last week, and I was like, no, that match. Someone tells me this match isn't happening, so they did do it. So I'm trying to think here. Okay, so something big is happening for one of these two at Revolution, or else they could have built this even more. They could have done something and just kept pushing this match until Revolution, and it would have been a big time Revolution match. So something's happening to at least one of them in the near future, whether it's MJF and it's going to be Hangman and MJF. They're going to start building it after next week, or even CM Punk. Like someone mentioned,
do you think it's just going to be a one and done though?
Between
these
two,
this is it?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
No, revisit.
Later down the line,
everything,
not now.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Omega and Danielson. We didn't even get a closure to that. So everything's kind of an open book, and that's what I think Tony Khan wants to do, because we're craving these rematches for these dream matches, and he can revisit it at a pay-per-view and make more money.
Yeah.
So I see people talking about it in the chat about they can't wait for the turn. I do not think the Wardlow turn happens until MJF wins and loses that belt.
No,
I think
he's going to
Wardlow
cost
is
MJF the belt.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that, and then their feud is going to be without a title. I think that even though, yes, for us watching from day one, Wardlow, I cannot wait till he's world champion. But there's no rush. He could be TNT champion. We see that's just as much of a big deal.
Even though I have the tweet pinned that Hook's going to be the next champion. Warlow
I think that it's gonna. If I had to book the rest of the year, I think it goes. I think MJF beats Hangman sooner than we realize. I think Hangman's title reign isn't as long. Yep. And then those two get into a feud. And then whether the belt goes back to Hangman and he becomes the first double champion or two-time champion of the company, or if the belt goes to someone like an Adam Cole, or maybe Kenny Omega comes back, or CM Punk later in the year, or Danielson or somebody, or even maybe Moxley, they go back to Moxley. I just think MJF and Wardlow is going to be a non-title match, and that will be, Wardlow gets to feud against a main eventer in MJF, and then that propels him into whatever is going to happen in 2023.
It's the Diesel Shawn Michaels thing. It's what it is. Do you think though that ending last night, like to me, I feel like it would be beautiful if Punk is the one that beats MJF for a title, but it's Wardlow who then steps aside for Punk to beat him that time instead of helping MJF, like the poetic justice of him stepping aside and letting Punk get MJF. And that's where MJF, he doesn't have to like interfere or anything.
Yeah, no.
Just being there and just he doesn't. And you see MJF looking at him like, what? Help. And this, and then
like, nope.
that's where MJF loses his title, and it's the redemption story of, okay, I did it wrong the first time, but this time I'm picking the right guy. And Wardlow then becomes your ultimate babyface,
It's all possible. And it's definitely something, and it's the cool thing about being an AEW fan. We have so many avenues.
I'm
they
spoiled.
Can go the way we expect. They can swerve us, but in the end, it's going to be something fun for
I'm 100% spoiled, and I want Adam Cole to win it so that when Kenny comes back, he comes back for his title, and Adam Cole's holding that.
Yeah,
I'm still spoiled, and I want that to happen.
I still think we're going to get what are they even called? The Paragon, right?
No.
Is that their name yet?
No.
I don't think is that canon yet?
That
because I
could've
feel
been
like they
that.
haven't said it on the show.
Nope.
I still think when he gets back, we're getting the trios match, which is going to be
insanity. So speaking of insanity, we've been talking about a lot of stuff we like, a lot of stuff we love.
Oh God!
I want to transition over to something that a lot of people hated, and of course, the way my mind works, I loved it, but everyone else hated it. And I'm going to Jacky first because no one hates this man more than Jacky. So we saw the in-ring segment promo between Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert, even though we thought we had moved past this once Dan Lambert was involved in the Lance Archer stuff. And Cody had gone past Men of the Year and then loses the title to Sammy. So now the positive that we can all agree is it's pretty cool that Paige VanZant is looking like she's going to get a match here. That's awesome. But let's start with what you didn't like, Jacky. Why didn't you like this segment? Because you're very opinionated. You had a lot of things to say last night. Let these people know.
do. I feel like I'm a broken record about this at this point because it's no secret that I don't care not a single cent for any of the stuff that Dan Lambert has been putting out since he's been involved in AEW. I feel like we reverted back to the stuff that we said, like, okay, maybe he got away from when he was criticizing Hangman Adam Page. And I said, well, the reason he's not saying certain triggering things is because he's not talking to a woman. Well, lo and behold, he's back to going toe-to-toe with Brandy, and he's becoming misogynistic and sexist all over again. Shocker, shocker. And I know that he's playing into it now by acknowledging it and saying, yeah, I am a sexist. yeah, I am gonna get canceled and whatever. Like his whole shtick is that
I'm not a
he's
fan
gonna
of
say
that.
what he wants to say.
Yeah, like
and
you
he
said,
doesn't give
you
a
wanted
shit.
to slap someone. Like you say, you would slap a woman. Like
He
I don't.
literally like said, "I
There's
have
such a
been wanting to slap you, but I'll get somebody else that could." And Ant made a very interesting point last night where he's like,
such an easier way around it.
he could have said, "I've been dying to shut you up, but I have somebody who can do it for me." You know, like something like that. But he didn't have to say like, "I've been, thinking about slapping you just like everybody
Yeah.
else in this building."
I hated when he said like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna get canceled for this cancel culture." I'm like, that does not stop. Just shut up.
It's
I
it's
hate,
just
I hate that
it's
shit.
on the
so
same show.
extra.
I hate that shit.
On the same show that Brian
Brian
Kendrick
Kendrick,
just
yeah.
got pulled from. Like, bro, are you tone deaf?
I was
dude?
gonna say
Like,
it is so incredibly tone deaf. There was a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna take anything away from Brandy as a person. It felt very forced. Everything felt unnatural. It didn't have a flow to
everything
it.
feels
It was
forced,
just
though. That's my
it
problem.
was so bad. Like it just kind of killed the momentum. Like thank God that main event happened because it brought everything, back up. But if that storyline just up and poof disappeared with no explanation, I wouldn't even care.
I don't think
I
anyone
wouldn't
would
ask for an
notice.
explanation. I really wouldn't. So yeah, again, it's just Dan Lambert just can fuck all the way off. I can't. I just can't stand.
He's
him.
cringe as fuck when it comes to this
I mean,
stuff. He's fine
But,
with
Yeah,
but can
he
we
is.
Lance.
can we even touch? Yeah, exactly. I like him with Lance.
Yeah.
But can we touch
Well, 'cause I don't
on
want Jake Roberts to
the
speak
fact?
anymore. Sorry.
Jake Roberts? Hey,
He's got to stop, man. The guy
you know
sounds
what we
like
do
he's
to
like,
assholes?
he's
We
like
sniff-
one argument
what are you
away from
talking
not
about?
from like that's it. Like they gotta just have Dan be the mouthpiece. Just have even
but, like-
Jake's presence is fine enough, right?
Jake wasn't a huge talker. Like he used to say like 3 lines. You're like, that dude's gonna kill me, right? Like,
He just sounds
but
like he's
when
an inhaler after every word, just doesn't come across good.
we need to acknowledge though that somehow, some way, that as someone was across from Dan Lambert and Dan Lambert was getting cheered, right? And I don't like
Oh,
that
yeah.
the audience turn. I don't like that the audience turns on Brandy because Brandy's trying, and I think Brandy's probably an excellent person, but I feel like she's getting fed to the sharks now because it's been every time she's touched a mic, to me, it's felt forced, right? It doesn't feel authentic. Just be yourself. Like I've watched Roads to the Top, be that person, like be you. Everything when she was talking last night, like you said, felt forced. Everything when she came out talking to Jade felt forced. Like you don't have to have the tough girl act on. I get it. You're about to fight Paige Van Zant, right? So you have to act like you're gonna. But Paige Van Zant fucking fights bare knuckled. Okay, for real, for serious. So how about you just like be yourself, and then people are like, okay, Brandy's gonna get killed, but let's like back her, like let's back the underdog. But by talking the way she was talking, and kind of feeding into like I'm like she's a badass, it wasn't believable to me. And
So
I'm not.
my
And
thing is this.
that's Brandy the character, right? This is not Brandy Rhodes the person.
Yeah.
Seeing what she does for charity, she's a great person. I respect and I love Brandy, but the character feels like it's not her. Like it feels a little forced, like you said.
So
Jack.
my thing is this. I love the segment. I thought it was great. It's a fucking mess. It's designed to be a mess. It's what it is.
You think it was
It gives
designed that
me-
way?
So yeah, because it's 2 heels going against each other. It's 2 characters who people hate more than anything. And even though I guess Lambert's like the ultimate heel in this company, Brandy wants to be a heel. She said it on Roads to the Top. She wants to be a heel. All the stuff that she's doing on Dark and Elevation, she's the heel. She's working heel. And she's not doing stuff to get, she's not, unlike Cody, she's not fighting when the crowd's booing her. She's not saying things to try to get them to cheer her. She's just talking shit. And if people cheer her, they do. If they don't, they don't. But I just feel like the only thing wrong with this segment is the fact that it's 2 heels, because it's like, who am I rooting for? Because like in one end, you got Dan Lambert being everything that Jacky said, right? Sexist, blah, 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 threatening abuse against women and whatever. And then on the other end, you have Brandy, who isn't
It's just
saying
not, but
anything
Phil, it's just
to
not
rally
needed.
behind.
What we're
Now,
saying
here-
is it's not needed in wrestling. If they're gonna go and do something like take Brian Kendrick off the show and you go around and do this, it just doesn't fit.
Here's the hot take.
Well,
Here's the
Kendrick's
hot
thing
take.
wasn't like Brandy didn't say anything great.
No, but it's
like,
not needed in,
No.
in today's wrestling. It's not needed. No one's like wanting this.
This
in wrestling.
match, this Paige Van Sant, Brandy Rhodes feud and match,
That's fine.
for someone who hated it so much, right? It screams a go-go versus Cody Rhodes. It screams it because I think if you're bringing Paige Van Sant and you got to bring her in against someone that's going to be a ring general. I know Cody is a ring general, but him and a go-go fell flat, right? There's no chemistry there from the start. And I feel like last night there was no chemistry. Was I hyped to see Paige Van Sant? If you're going to stick Paige Van Sant, one of the most badass women in the world, in a ring, yeah, I hate to say it, but copy WWE. When they put Ronda Rousey in the ring, they put her against Charlotte and Becky. They put her against the best. They put her against Nikki Bella, a 12-year veteran, right? You need to put her in a match against a veteran, against a star, because then if Paige Van Sant signs with your company, it is a huge,
Yeah, I hope she comes over eventually,
deal.
man. That would be big.
My thing is, and I see people in the chat bringing this up, and this is one thing I think you cannot like the way Brandy cuts promos, but to say that's not how she is, we don't know. We don't know if the Brandy that we see on TV is a corporate Brandy. It's the Brandy who's at work and has to be professional. We don't know if this is how she talks or this is whatever. So like the whole code switching thing, we don't know.
Do you think it doesn't scream like she's trying to act?
But I mean, they're all trying to act. None of them are good actors. If they were good actors, they wouldn't be wrestlers. The actors. Like we accept the things to a certain limit.
I think
okay.
there's a certain flow with people who are well versed in what they're doing, where it obviously is scripted, it's obviously a character, but it has a flow to it. And with everything that she's been doing thus far, it doesn't necessarily have that same flow, where it feels like she's thinking when she's talking.
Well, I mean, that's the issue. You know, that could be the negative of AEW being a company where you don't script the promos. So someone like a Brandy needs promo scripted because she needs in her head to know where she's going or have an outline of where she's going. Because definitely, you're right. It does seem like she's kind of like, deer in headlights. What do I say? But I also think that hurts Lambert too, because, you know, if he's out there and maybe they tell him like, yo, listen, don't say this or say it this way. Instead of saying, oh, I want to slap you, I want to shut you up instead. But maybe in the moment, without any preparation, he just says, he reverts back to what he thinks he should be saying.
Have you ever said to a woman that I think I want to slap you right now?
No, but it's
okay. It's not a genuine reaction.
I'm talking about Brandy's side of it. I'm not talking about Lambert's side of it. I'm talking about Brandy's side of it. Because I think
the way it sounded, it was like maybe Cody, they change him.
I think her more than anybody in this company. People always mention Cody. I think there's literally Brandy can fucking cure cancer and people
they boo
still hate her.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's so extra.
The issue is, at the end of the day, the issue is if you do the same exact story, but you take Lambert out and you put in Sheeta or somebody who's like a Ty Conti. You put Ty Conti in that spot. People love her. She's one of the biggest baby faces in the women's division. Mm-hmm. Or Statlander or somebody, and you put them against Brandy. I think the segment works better because then we can fully boo Brandy. I think it's this weird thing of like, who do I boo? Who do I cheer? And I saw somebody earlier say this is one of the worst segments in AEW history. No, it is not. Those are all these fucking Inner Circle reunions we keep getting.
And we're getting one next week.
Yeah, I get one live. I get one live next week.
Oh my
and if Eddie Kingston doesn't come out, I'm leaving. Okay? I'm just letting you know that. But
Proto in the chat is saying the only way Brandy Page works is if Page destroys her. I think we're forgetting here that I'm sure QT Marshall is going to book the hell out of this match, or Serena, who does a lot of work with the women, is going to book the hell out of this match, and they're going to protect it. I do not think we're going to see, Hangman versus Danielson. I think we'll see a street fight with maybe a suplex, maybe a scoop slam, something simple that Paige can learn in these next, however long, probably Revolution. So these next 3 weeks, and she's probably been training already, but it's like, and Brandy could do the fundamental moves, right? She's not like incompetent in the ring, but you just have Paige Van Zant's going to win. She's going to beat the shit out of her, and she's going to win. And then at the end of the day, that's what this is all leading to. It's not the smoothest thing. It's not the best storyline to get Paige Van Zant in a match to see if she'll be good here. But I mean, it is what it is.
I'm going to wait to see it. It could be a ploy too to get her over here. You know, like if you're
Yeah.
done with your bare knuckle stuff, you want to come do pro wrestling, we got a contract waiting for you. Come over here.
A lot
You have
safer, a
fun?
lot
Get
more
over here.
money, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is what we're saying here, and I want to clarify this. Like you said, Phil, like Brandy Rhodes gets a lot of unwarranted hate, tons of it, too much of it for the person
Absolutely.
she is. We're not hating her. This is just a criticism of the segment, right? This is a
Mhm.
criticism that I feel like it's gonna for Paige Van Zandt to work. You need you can have her go against like you just said, Ty Conti versus Brandy would fall better. I think Paige Van Zandt versus Ty Conti or Paige Van Zandt versus Statlander. I think that's where you get the most out of Paige Van Zandt. I'm just afraid that this is going to fall flat because here's the thing. It might not fall flat from our standpoint because we can appreciate it and we can watch Brandy and respect what she's doing in the ring. It's going to fall flat because the fans are going to boo it and hijack it and be assholes during it because they hate Brandy. So no matter what, Brandy could do a 450 splash off a ladder and people are going to boo her because they don't like her for some reason.
Facts.
We're critiquing them. They're hating her. Their hatred is going to come across on the TV and take away from what we're supposed to see anyway.
So we have Ascended saying Paige versus Anna Jay. She's green, but she's improved a ton. Let's not forget that Brandy has been wrestling longer than Anna. And I'm not saying Brandy Rhodes is in-ring general, but she's not as bad as everybody
And
makes
I've
it
been
seem.
playing
If they book the match-
basketball longer. I've been playing basketball longer than John Morant, but where am I?
No, but I'm just saying it's just like
You're not in the NBA.
no,
really?
but let's not act like Anna Jay is Serena Deeb. All right. The thing that I'm saying is, if this match has a 90% fail rate, but all I'm saying is, let's see, because there's a 10% chance that they book this right, and it'll be a quick match. It'll be under like 8 minutes, and it'll just be a brawl.
Yo, just have her
with a
come
pin.
out, knock her out. Do like a shoot punch, knock her out.
Oh my god.
Just saying.
That would
I'm
pop
just
the
saying.
crowd.
Yeah.
Just the bell rings, Paige comes up to her,
Yeah,
just
but
knocks
Can we
her
already
out.
trying to
Can we
pop the
talk
crowd.
about the other
Paige
women's
is
match?
technically on the villain side. She's on the heel side, even though they're both heel sides. But like Paige was getting booed like 3 months ago.
I didn't feel like Brandy came out as a heel last night. I didn't.
No, she was a heel. They were both heels. Lambert
No,
was more of a face.
I
than she
think
was.
Brandy, and this is the props to Brandy. I think Brandy was cutting a face promo, and when she was getting a reaction from the fans, her face and everything made it feel more heelish.
So she's doing a Cody
Because she kinda
She's
turned
pulling
it.
her husband because isn't that what Cody did a couple weeks ago?
Probably. But my hot take, can we talk about the other female match? Can we
Yeah.
talk about the other
Let's
women's match?
transition.
Women's match, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Because I love Ruby Soho. I love her, right? And I said this last night, and I want the chat's opinion because to me, I think she's great. One of the people I want to interview the most in my life because the music we listen to. I love her. I feel like there is like this disconnect with her lately. Like her matches aren't hitting it for me. I found like that match last night, and I love Nyla, right? Nyla's fucking awesome. Best Twitter follow ever. But
Oh, hell
Nyla
yeah.
to me, it just felt so much more crisp and clean. And I feel like Ruby's has been spinning her wheels a little bit. I want to get on this Ruby Soho for champion train, but the wheels are spinning and it's not going anywhere for me. I don't know how you guys feel. I think it was a good match, but with Ruby Soho, I expect great matches.
Well, you know,
Maybe
the
my
thing-
expectations are too
One
high.
thing that weirded
but
me out is that both champions weren't on the show at all this week.
That's because they were at the Bulls game.
Okay, but like still, like why?
They're at the Chicago Bulls game doing
promo, but
because
like
they're at the Chicago
we're
Bulls
like
game.
3 weeks away from we're 3 weeks away from a pay-per-view. Like
Yeah, it
you
was
just had
weird
Britt
that there
Baker
was
cut
no
that
mention
promo
of it.
last week and then nothing this week. What was she doing at Revolution? There's 3 weeks. Why
Well,
are none of your
it's
champions
Ru-
booked?
If it's
Oh,
Ruby Soho,
man.
Ruby's been spinning her, but Ruby lost last night. So I mean,
I gave
but
shit to
does anyone
WWE
feel
for
like
doing
that?
this.
Do you feel that way, Kyle?
Yeah, well, yeah,
What do you
because
feel
like
about
there's,
Ruby's
there's
run so
nothing
far?
booked right now with the world champions, so there's no direction at all.
But I'm talking about Ruby.
I feel that
I'm
way
not
about
I'm talking
everybody,
about
even Ruby.
in-ring,
everybody,
in-ring,
everybody right now
in-ring,
feels the same way
in-ring.
because there's no direction. There's absolutely
Man,
no
we were
direction
angry
towards the
tonight,
title
huh?
right now.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
There
There's
is
no
direction,
There's
though.
none. No one is going anywhere right now. Who's next to face Jade? Who? Nobody.
Nyla.
Who's next to face? Yeah,
Nyla.
have they said that?
I just gave you the answer.
When did they said that?
They said it when Nyla challenged Ruby. She says she's gonna get through Ruby and go after Jade because Ruby beat her.
Okay, then
in
why
the
didn't
TBS
Nyla
tournament.
say or cut a promo about any of that this week?
They just had the match
Budget
and
cuts.
she won.
Yeah, well then you couldn't. You telling me you could not fit one little 15-second promo about
And I'm
that
gonna
saying I'm coming for you? Like you couldn't have her say something like that?
I'm gonna tell you, AEW book shit quick, really nice and really good. And Thunder Rosa has to get past Mercedes Martinez.
That hasn't been mentioned in
Thunder
3
Rosa-
weeks.
They're fighting this week.
Are they finally?
They're fighting Friday
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
Yeah,
I missed
And
that
then
part when
Thunder
they
Rosa,
were announcing all the matches. I wasn't looking at my screen.
And then Thunder Rosa is going to go to Britt Baker. So everything's
We
laid
don't know
out.
what's happening with Britt Baker.
I'm
That's
just
why I
watching
threw a
Ruby
file.
Soho, and I'm like, this should be the number one person in your division. And I feel like she's flat right now because I don't feel like we don't.
I don't think Rosa's going
was-
to Baker until Double or Nothing. That's not happening now.
Yeah.
There's no way that's happening now.
I don't know. To your point, Ant, I have felt the same way in regards to Ruby. And they've done this match before. They've done Nyla versus Ruby in the TBS tournament, and that match felt a lot stronger. This one felt a little bit flat to me. It was one of those matches where I could kind of catch myself tuning in and out of. There's something that's missing. It's not her ability. Clearly, we know that she
No,
can
she's
go in
great.
the ring. It's just there's something that is not connecting and not gelling. Obviously, like when the match was starting, somebody had it like texted me and asked me like, well, who do you got in this match? Like, who do you want to go over? I said, I want Nyla to go over. And which happened. But in the interim, I want there to be a good, solid match. And I felt like last night just wasn't it. And to your point,
I
the
felt
last
that way
couple
for the
matches,
past
I was gonna
couple
say,
months.
like, you know, the her match against Jade, same kind of deal where it just wasn't the flow or the intensity that you come to expect from a competitor like her.
And here's my thing: we could say Jade is green, right? But the matches in between them, right? The Thunder Rosa match was good, right? Was really
Mhm.
good. Then the Anna Jay match was good. So is it a Jade thing or is it just Ruby is? And listen, it happens. You get into a drought sometimes. You get, maybe she's in her head. But like to me, Ruby Soho to me should be one of your top 3 women in the division.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now she's getting overlooked because it hasn't translated to the ring I'm not saying ever in AEW, just in the last couple matches.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if in any way it sounds like, I more harshly critique the women's matches or anything. I think what it is that I genuinely care about this division. And so I do look at it with a microscope and I want to see it improve from week to week. Fangy made a comment in the chat where he says, in my opinion, Ruby still hasn't had the right feud yet. And that could be it. Maybe it's just like she needs that right opponent to tell that story. And she's worked a very different style. WWE has their own, way of doing things. Maybe it's just kind of like getting her out of that system and back into like, what style AEW works. But overall, it's like, it's not that I think she's bad. I just
she's
want
great.
to.
We know she's great.
Fantastic, and I want to see her excel. It just hasn't really hit the mark yet.
Kyle, what'd you think of the match? Do you agree with everybody?
Yeah, like to what like Jacky said, it was a match you can tune in and out of because I was just like it did nothing really peaked for me. Like we knew what the story was gonna be, right? Like Nyla says, I'm gonna get through if that was where they were going. If Nyla's gonna get to Jade, she's obviously gonna beat Ruby. So it was kind of like a predictable match. There's no way that they would have had Ruby beat Nyla and Nyla go after Jade. That's not something that AEW does. But Ruby kind of needs that. I feel like she needs everything she's lost to. I think ever since she's lost to Britt, it's kind of like the momentum's just been gone from her, and I don't know if it's there's not the right person in AEW currently right now that she can feud with.
There's one right off the top of my head right now. Serena Deeb, top of my head, right there. That's how you build Ruby up. You put her in a feud with Serena Deeb, the hottest.
But she's got to lose. She's gonna lose to Serena. Serena's not losing anytime soon. That's the problem. You got to put her against in a short feud or a feud off to the side, like a TJ versus the Bunny and Penelope, where it doesn't have like title
But what?
implications. You could just
But
do
but
something over there.
and I love it. But where's Ty been? What has that feud got them?
Well, it's Ty was in Brazil, so she had
Well,
time
I
off.
know
So,
that, but I mean, but
but I'm
where?
saying there seems like with Anna Jay's getting a lot of TV time right now. She's getting a lot of matches. So I feel like they're starting to build up Anna Jay. I mean, this is the issue that they have with only having one match on each show. That you have a bunch of women who are competing for one segment, especially one match, right? Maybe
Yeah.
multiple segments, but only one match. So if you have a storyline, eventually it's got to lead to a match. And I think that the biggest issue with Ruby, that I do agree with you guys, she hasn't had her statement win yet. Like if you think of Ruby, I mean, yeah, she debuted and she won the Casino Battle Royale, but since then, what win has she had
And she lost
that
now
has
to
mean
two
anything?
champions.
This is why I thought she should have won the TBS tournament, because Ruby could have been the veteran, getting all these younger girls who aren't ready for TV or aren't ready to be in a title match position, getting them reps in that spot. Now we went with Jade, we're going a different way, but they need more than one women's segment, one match a week, because then you can do
100%.
something
Oh God,
with
yeah.
Ruby off to the side. Because now I think the big issue that we're going to see here, and this is unlike any company, because even like Impact Wrestling only has, they have one singles women's title. I think AEW could get in trouble potentially with, Britt and Jade have to remain looking strong, especially Jade because she hasn't lost yet.
Yeah, but
So
Britt's got to lose eventually.
no, but I know, but I'm saying like, so now if you're in AEW and there's only one match on the card and one match on Rampage, Dynamite and Rampage, respectively, like if you're not fighting for one of those two titles, how would you? Because now the two segments that we're going to get every week of matches are going to be probably for those titles. So it's, or leading towards those titles. So if you're not going there, and I think that could end up screwing the company over in the long run, but this comes back to the point. Rampage needs to be 2 hours. There needs to be something more. There needs to be, I don't know, maybe something to do with dark. Like there needs to be something where the women get more of a chance to shine, and you could tell shorter storylines like Sarita and Sheeta that we just got, but have someone like Ruby do it. Just saying, it's going to
Yeah.
be tough because there's only
Do
so much
you think?
airtime, and we're
Do
building
you
towards a pay per
think
view.
it's because listen? Tony Khan's all about the ratings, right? You know that, right? Obviously, he talks about them all the time. Do you think this is what's hurting them, is they don't have any established faces that would help draw people in? So if you're going to say, okay, Moxley versus Yuta, people are going to tune in for Moxley. To me, a women's match would have been great in that slot to open up the show, right? But do you think, they need to always start hot to try to get viewers? How many times do we see Danielson in the opening slot? You know what I mean? Like, to me, I think that is the slot where you should feature females and your great female wrestlers. But I feel like he's trying to pop that quick rating every week. So he's like, let's
But if
start
you
off,
but if you want to pop that quick rating, if that's your formula,
put
nobody's
on the
telling you
bunny.
that, but it's just there has to be a way, even if it's not every single week consecutively, to fit in a secondary women's match in the
I
card.
mean,
It
it's
just
very
you
easy.
can do it.
It's very easy to do.
Watch,
Yeah.
and I've been watching Impact lately, here and there, on and off. And people give them a lot of shit because sometimes their shows get a little goofy, right? But the way they book their shows, I think, are perfect, because I think AEW falls in this trap of, all right, so we have a storyline with the Young Bucks and the Best Friends. So on Dynamite, we're going to get Nick Jackson versus Trent. And then on Friday, we're going to get a tag team match with teams. And then next Dynamite, we're going to get, and it's just always the same things. Like, I think that if you're going to have a company that, only has 3 hours of television a week separated between two shows, I think you do the way Impact does, where it's like, oh, hey, we got 2 women's matches this week because the tag team match that we had last week, they got the promo segment now.
Yeah.
Like the Young Bucks and the Best Friends, their feud is not going to be in a match at all. It'll be a promo segment. Like Moxley, that Brian Danielson Moxley thing could have been a promo segment. and you give that match. I mean, it was a great match. Don't get me wrong, but you make that the second women's match. You eliminate the Brandy thing altogether in ring. You make it a backstage segment. That in ring time could be your second women's match. I think they got to get a little bit more creative
Fangy, I
because
think the AEW and Impact Forbidden Door has been shut.
It's been shot.
No, I'm not saying about interjecting.
No.
Impact.
I'm answering
Fangy
his
put it in
question.
the chat.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know what? Impact's females, Impact's women's. There's one that everyone can name who is probably one of the best wrestlers in the world. Literally has said in interviews she's excited to go to AEW one day, and it's Deonna Purrazzo. Watch that, because when that goes,
The Impact women are great because they're given opportunities to grow.
well, that's the thing. Like,
and
how
to
many
shine.
times did Deonna main event a show? Realistically,
But it's
a lot.
not just Deonna, right? Jordan Grace is great. Josh Steele is great.
Oh, I love Jordan Grace. But like someone like Kiera Hogan that AEW has under contract, why isn't she showcased? She was great in Impact. Great in Impact, right? That's what I'm saying is they just need to put a spotlight on more of the females. And, you know, maybe when you sign someone like a Tony Storm, if that happens, that right there is someone that you could kick a show off with, right? Tony
But see,
Storm
now I'm afraid of them signing the Tony Storms, the Ember Moons, the Tegan Knox. Like, I'm afraid of it now because there's so many women in this roster who don't get the chance because they're
who
not
are really
be in a
good.
feud with Jade
Yeah.
and are not going to be in a feud with Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa or Ruby or Serena.
I can't put the gun to their head on that. I can't pull out Arn's Glock and put it there, right? because one thing that we just got through was a great, probably the best women's feud that they had, and it had no title involved in it, and it was Sheeta versus Deeb. So I can't put the gun to their head and say, you don't give me meaningful feuds. They're just not giving us the right ones. This one that they just closed on with Deeb and Sheeta was one of the greatest women's feuds in AEW's short history. So it shows that it can happen. They just need it to happen more.
Yeah.
So I want to transition over to something a lot of us enjoyed, because we're getting towards the end of the show here. So we had the House of Black versus Penta and Pac. Pac coming out doing his best Daredevil impression, which was great. So I want to start with you, Kyle. What did you think of this match and the entrance and everything that kind of followed after?
Fucking love, man. Just everything about the House of Black, that just gets me excited every week, man. The whole aesthetic of it is just so well done, except for the graphic team this week who graphically put Knights of
the Black Throne
and not
Jeez.
Kings
Did they
of the
really?
Black Throne.
You
Yes, they
literally have one fucking job, and
Yeah.
it's to know what the tag team's in.
As Justin Roberts is saying, Kings of the Black Throne, the graphic comes at the bottom, Knights of the Black Throne. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, really? Anyways, great tag team match. Man, I don't know. This was weird. So, like, Penta ended up getting the shower. I don't think it's going to be a Penta joining the House of Black. We know that'd be really cool and very, like, thrown off. That'd be insane if he ended up joining and we get, like, this dark
Penta dark.
Yeah, that would be
Like
insane.
Lucha Underground.
But Pac wearing the same colors as the House of Black this week.
And he was trying to kill them the whole time.
Yeah,
So,
and then
I mean,
he didn't take
I think
the
it would
pin.
have happened,
And
right?
he didn't take the pin either.
Yeah.
Kyle is
I'm still
still
on
like
the train.
viciously clinging to this idea that Pac is the third member of the.
And when it happens, I'm gonna step out here. I'm like, I told you, fucks.
I'll tell you what, it sounded every time that Pac comes on TV, it's like the Bobby Heenan effect for Kyle. It's like, but whose side is he on? It's like like wasted the good surprise on
Great
you.
match though, man. They pulled off a really excellent match. I was happy with this. I don't know where they're going from here though. They have to now play off of Penta getting sprayed in the eye. So two blind guys are gonna do double Daredevil.
I was gonna say, but we haven't really seen a full payoff from anybody that got misted. Like, we haven't seen anybody really turn. We've seen hints of it, like with Julia Hart, where it seems like her attitude is changing.
That's probably something they're missing. They probably should have had her just come out on the stage and just kind of like stare them down or something and then walk away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to take anything away from the match. The match was freaking great. When Malachi and Pac are like striking each other, that shit sounds like you could hear that from the rafters. They're always going in really hard on each other, but it's such a great storyline. I just want to see the first step of payoff when it comes to this mist, or are we gonna find out that it's like he just missed people and that's the end of it? Like,
That's because it's so
and
cool
there
that
is no
they could
turn.
wait till maybe the payoff will be at Revolution. Maybe we'll see a new member be shown or announced at
Possibly.
Revolution.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for Julia to go dark. I'm like now I really want that to happen. So it's just kind of like, well, are they going to pull the trigger on it, or is this going to be like one of those really slow burns, or is it just
I
not
love
going
the
to happen
aesthetic.
at all?
I love the one aesthetic. Someone pointed out on Twitter. Like even we know how like his makeup's growing on him. Like Malachi, every week it's like it just gets bigger and bigger. Someone even pointed out that he's doing it with the contact in his eye. It's down to the little details. They showed like a picture from when he first debuted till now. Even the contact is changing in his eye. And I'm like,
Well, he had a red
Jesus.
one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this guy is just putting like every little bit. I appreciate all the little details he puts into into his character. It's so good.
Hot take time with Anthony. I have a lot of hot takes tonight.
Oh God.
Malachi, I love what they're doing. That match, I think you're showcasing them a little bit too much, and that sounds weird, but I think you're showcasing Malachi in the ring too much. I feel like he should be more of like a special. Like when he wrestles, it feels special, and
Okay.
he should have a more vignettes, almost like. But he's not going to lose, right? So almost like the Bray Wyatt effect. Bray Wyatt wasn't in the ring
Ringside.
every single week.
You should be a ringside with
He
the mask
was
on.
doing he was doing promos. He was doing vignettes. He was furthering the story. The past couple weeks, it's like, okay, Brody King's here. Malachi Brody. It's like, but how about you just give us a vignette? And then you can save that time for another women's match, but you're still furthering their story, and you're not like, I mean, how many
I know
times?
what you're saying
Malachi
there.
been in
Yeah,
the
no,
ring
I get it, but like to
make
throw
him-
it
and I
back
love
to
Malachi. He's probably one of my favorites, but
yeah. I was gonna say, but to throw it back, like Brody debuted, it was a huge deal when he debuted. Do you feel like he's kind of taken a back seat, and we really haven't had the chance to see him shine since he's gotten here because Malachi is that damn good?
Well, that's what that's what he's saying. Like maybe Malachi should have just been like at ringside with the mask on and let Brody
like,
do the destruction.
Malachi doesn't have to wrestle every week. Like that's like exactly almost. They don't have to be on the match, but if they're going to be in the match, why don't you have Malachi walk Brody and just stand there and Brody dismantles someone in 25 seconds, and then you're like, cool, further the story
And lays him
Women's
before
match.
the feet of Malachi Black, and Malachi sprays the mist into him with the mask on. Boom.
Oh, I like that.
It's a good idea.
Tony Khan, hire us.
I think, one of the big issues is we're 3 weeks away from a pay-per-view. I think that they are only using people who are going to be on the pay-per-view. And I think that's why we're getting like, wow, that's weird. We're getting this again, or not like again, it's not a repeat, but we're getting like kind of something similar, right? I mean, we see Moxley at like 3 shows in a row is getting a match, and we're happy to have him back, but like maybe give him a promo segment, right? Give him something else. Don't give him double segments, right? And I think the same thing, I agree. And like, I think Malachi should be more special. And I think obviously they've been building this feud with him and Pac, and maybe other things got in the way, like travel or COVID or something, where Pac wasn't there all the time, and Ray Phoenix's injury kind of threw everything for a loop.
Bro,
But I would love to see this match at a pay-per-view at Revolution.
But this is my problem: is you're having these repeat people in matches, which is cool, but then you have someone like Andrade who can't get a match.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, like, I love Moxley. He's back. I'm excited. Awesome. That's the third in a row. Okay, now you're off the next week, and Andrade gets to wrestle, and then he wrestles like 2 weeks, and then he's off for a week. And Miro, you know what I mean? Like, rotate, because I'm an Andrade fan, and I don't remember his last match on TV.
Yeah, I don't. You could say anything at this point. I would believe.
I think it was a tag team match.
Yeah.
And I like his segments because they're trying to keep him like important by buying people, but at the same time, it's like, show me why people would want to work for him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it in the backstage.
Is that true?
Come out and buy someone. Like come out to the ring and buy someone. Stop doing it with
It's true.
When that comes on my screen, I don't care. I don't pay attention. It does not interest me in the slightest. Anything with the Matt Hardy stuff.
I would say it's the curse of the Hardy family office.
Awful. Just god awful. No one cares for it. No one's saying, oh, I can't wait to see what the Matt Hardy segment is going to be this week on Dynamite. No one's saying that. No one is saying that. Even if they pre-announced it. No one cares. Just stop it.
They'll bring back Jeff. It'll be a nice pop.
That's
for
fine.
one night.
They can do that.
For
Just
one
stop
night,
with the
people
stuff
will
they're doing
care
now.
about the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
One night, people will care about them, and then they'll go away again.
Mm-hmm. Now, last thing that I want to talk about before we get a little preview of what's to come on Rampage and Dynamite next week. So we had that segment with Hangman and Lance Archer. Now, quick thoughts, Jackie. I'll start with you. Do you think this segment worked? Because I know some people online said they didn't like it. Does this get you more excited for the match that we're going to do next week in Atlantic City?
Well, there was one component of that segment that that I can't stand. So that part of it, like as soon as Lambert walked out, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. I gotta say, I'm not over the moon excited for this feud. I think it's gonna be a good filler. I think the match will be entertaining. It's a Texas death match. It's gonna be intense. Hangman's been having a lot of these like intense banger matches since he's got the championship. But it's one of those things where it's like Archer isn't going to win. So it's like, what's the incentive? You just had 2 matches with Bryan Danielson where you're like, shit, like maybe Danielson will take it. Archer doesn't feel that way. So it's I'll give it the faith that the match will turn out to be entertaining, but am I excited about it? Not particularly. That's just my opinion.
What about you, Kyle?
It's not hitting for me at all. Nope. Lance Archer shouldn't be talking. This guy is not really good. Not good at hitting me with promos, and half the time I can't hear a word he's saying. He's just snarling all the time. And I don't know. I'm not excited for this world title match, to be honest. It's not doing anything for me. Sure.
Yeah, you guys get me so fucking excited to be there live next week. Let me tell you.
Me?
No, I'm telling you. Like I think
my guy,
you
you just sat
good,
here.
like,
you just sat here. I was like, this match, not excited. Nobody's excited for it.
Sorry, no, I'm not excited for it. I didn't say no.
No, I mean, I'm not either.
I just couldn't care less about this feud, and it'll probably be a really good match, and it'll shock me, sure, but I don't know. It to me, at least, it felt forced, like way too forced. Like he came back and they shot him right into the world title picture. Why?
Yeah, that was odd. It just feels very, very filler to me.
Yeah, me too. What about you, Aaron? What do you think?
This is a spot where you could put Andrade, and I keep going back to it, but like, how do you make a man feel like a star? Make him challenge for a title, and imagine a Hangman versus Andrade match, right? Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need no stipulation. Shit sells itself.
Yep.
Like I like Lance Archer. But again, like you've put him in how many meaningful matches, and he always comes up short. So then you torpedo him to a title match where he's gonna come up short because you're not gonna change title on a random Wednesday night in a broke man's Las Vegas in Atlantic City. Like you're not gonna do that. So why? I don't. I mean, I get it. Like you want him to. It's another person that Hangman can beat, that he goes into a different bag of tricks and he uses his hardcore side, his more aggressive side. We see a different side of Hangman Page to show that he can prove to himself that he can beat anyone, right? And that's cool. But at the same time, it's like you brought this guy back who was off, you put him in a match. It does feel forced, right? Everything kind of feels like it's filler. It screams filler.
Maybe just me. I just like my world title feuds. If they're like there's a pay-per-view around the corner, I want more than just 2 weeks to book it. I want a more bigger story. I want something that's lasted a couple.
If we're gonna fill, why are you not using someone like an Andrade?
Yeah.
Why aren't you using someone like that? Right? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I do get Lance Archer is a mean looking dude and he's an ass kicker, but you're gonna sit here and you're gonna tell me that this is sports, right? And rankings matter and being there matters. So if someone just comes off the disabled list for my starting team or my team, and we're going into Super Bowl. Am I going to start that guy after the one guy took me to the Super Bowl? Like, to me, like, if Carson Wentz came back when Nick Foles took them to the Super Bowl, would you start Carson Wentz? No, you're going to roll with the hot hand. And it feels like Lance Archer came back and like you have all these great guys lined up and he just jumps them and gets this starting role in a main event. And you're like, why are you here? You haven't beaten anyone to get here.
You
You have to.
You know what you should do next week that's going to pop me and it'll get me to be excited? At the end of that match, have Lance Archer beat the fuck out of Hangman Page for one. Like, to, like, an inch where Hangman is almost dead. Just beat the hell out of him because this is a Texas death match. Have Wardlow's music hit right after the match is done, and Wardlow just powerbomb the shit out of him while MGF watches to set up the title match at Revolution.
If it happens at Revolution, like I mean, you
what else
guys
is
have
MJF
made
doing?
you guys made oh, Kerry, that's good thinking. That's the way around it. The ratings, the rankings reset. So when he came back,
Still, though, that just them.
But-
We're not idiots. We know what's going on.
but that's their loophole, right? It's a new season.
Oh,
I don't know.
I hate that. I hate that.
You guys did
That's such
open
a
my eyes
lazy
when
way. That's such a lazy way to book him into a title shot. I
when
hate
you said,
that.
but when you said 3 weeks from a pay-per-view, and I looked and we're like, well, I mean, we're more than 3 weeks.
We're like a
away from
month. Sorry,
pay-per-view.
I don't count the go home week because that's just
But-
like all promos for the pay per view.
That's very telling that we don't know any of the matches because we thought it was going to be MJF versus Punk.
Yeah,
What-
none of
what-
the title
what-
matches are booked for the pay per view. Like, there's no direction.
What match is booked for the pay-per-view?
None.
Nothing. I don't think so.
We might get Andrade and Darby, like Kerry said, because it kind of seems like he wants to buy Darby, and that's probably leading to a feud with him. But like, there's
And again,
there's no direction with
but
any of the titles. None.
That's again, so that's fine, right?
Exactly.
If you're going to actually make this pay off with Andrade versus Darby, which will probably steal a show, okay. But show me you're getting there. Like this week, it was unnecessary because it's like, did you talk to Darby? No. Okay, then why the fuck are we having this conversation?
Oh,
Yeah, it was just
man.
Yeah.
I think that's gotta be your next rant on wrestling. I mean, if you weren't taking
When I
time
get
off,
back,
well,
when I
yeah.
get back, in a month.
Hi, my
but-
name's
No,
Kyle.
I
I'm
mean,
here
like
with
when you
Rant
get
on
back in a
Wrestling.
month, hopefully,
I'm here to read off
Andrade
a-
will be in a promo, like like a
I'll
good
just host the
program
show
by
and I'll just
then.
read off whatever you text me.
Yeah, I got it'll just be our live text every day when we're bitching and complaining.
So now preview what is to come this week. You guys don't know. So on Rampage, we have Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. We're finally getting a match between these two. We have Ricky Starks
Yeah.
versus Jay Lethal for the FTW title. We have a
Okay.
match that was announced on Dynamite this week, and in regards to Adam Cole's segment that we didn't get into, where he was basically saying he's going after the world title now. So it's Adam Cole versus Evil Uno. And then we have Isaiah Cassidy versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. And if you want a little bit of extra, go on Isaiah Cassidy's Twitter and see all the stuff he's doing
His
with
new display
teasing
picture.
Sammy Guevara,
Oh my
with
god.
turning his display picture to Ty Conti and saying he's going to take her from him and all this stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I
And
love
then,
my
of
boy
course,
Isaiah for that. That's priceless. That's fantastic.
I love that Isaiah Cassidy is now stealing Phil's gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then next week, at the big show that Ant is going to be at. So if
Oh
you are
yeah.
at the AEW show in
gonna
Atlantic
be at the
City.
Go
You
Big Show.
see Amp, come up to him, say hello. We have Hangman versus Lance Archer in a Texas Death Match, and we have the segment that everybody can't wait for is the Inner Circle team meeting, which
Can't wait.
Whatever.
Fucking
Yeah,
Is
oh,
Adam Cole and
Please,
Uno-
Eddie Kingston, please save that segment.
Adam Cole and Evil Uno's next week on Dynamite, right?
No,
No,
it's
it's on
this weekend.
Rampage.
it's on Rampage.
Well, maybe that's the world title match right there. Maybe it's Hangman versus Adam Cole.
Maybe they're starting to build Adam Cole up, but it's definitely something we can. I mean, hopefully, like
Because
you
he
said,
beats
we get to
Evil
see it.
Uno.
No, well, he
Well,
runs
Evil
through some of
Uno's
his
in the
Dark
Dark
Order
Order.
friends, you know.
Yeah,
I mean I know, but it's like such a weird way to start it.
Hey, they just
This is
gave Lance
unbeatable.
Archer a title shot because the
I mean,
records
Bryan
are set.
Danielson just did the same thing in reality. If we're thinking,
Well,
about it, he ran through the
exactly.
Dark
So-
Order.
Let's not repeat it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's something to look forward to. But before we get out of here, a reminder, if you guys want to follow us, if you want to support us, it's patreon.com/ElitePOV, where we get great shows like Top Girl Talk. And then we have our merch, which is elitepovmerch.com. Get some great designs. We're still working on some new designs for you guys. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at ElitePOV. On Twitter, Instagram, on TikTok, it's ElitePOV Clips. If you want to follow me, it's at Philium Elite. Jacky, let them know where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter at LoveYouMake24 and on Instagram at JacksTheDrawPOV.
And let them know where they can follow you, even though you don't want people to follow you.
Don't have a Twitter anymore because I'm on break. So follow everyone here, and if I have something important to say, I'll say it on the shows. So make sure you tune on, whatever. Saturday we have Good Morning Elite. We're gonna have our friend of the show, Jermaine will be on.
Best in the world, you're amazing.
The best in the world, and you can be on the show if you join the best in the world tier. You'll be on the show on Saturdays. You'll get an invite to one. And I do want to say that since I'm not doing Rant on Wrestling, when we came back, we had an inner circle meeting ourselves last week. We're not kicking anyone out, maybe may. But Phil had brought up, why don't we do Rant on Wrestling live for the Patreons? I give you guys a YouTube link. You come, I'm talking, and you guys are chatting with me about that topic. I'll read off your comments. I'll answer your questions, and I feel like it's a really fun dynamic that we can make Rant on Wrestling even more interactive. And I can see other people's point of views, and then it will be on YouTube like a couple days or a week later. So that is what to look out for when I get back. I'm not going to be on the shows next week at all. The next week following that is up in the air. I have to move my whole life from here to my new home, and then I have to start building a studio. So it's going to be a very busy couple weeks.
But yeah, everybody congratulate Ant in the chat
Thank
for
you.
that, because that's good news. Finally.
And then Kyle, let them know where they can follow you and everything that you got going on with the EFED stuff.
I quit social media.
Cool.
No, you can follow me at All Elite Kyle on Twitter. It's usually where I either tweet about AEW or Star Wars right now, because Book of Boba Fett is the greatest show on the planet right now, and me and Phil were actually talking about theories before the show. So if you guys are Star Wars fans, you want to talk Book of Boba Fett, shoot me a DM. I'm free anytime to talk about Book of Boba Fett, so hit me up there. But yeah, EFED guys. Again, you guys have heard me talk about it for a couple of shows now. Myself and Ann have combined our E-Federation companies under one roof. We have one E-Federation All Elite Wrestling Alliance Wrestling Federation. So basically, if you guys don't know what an EFED is, myself and Ant commentate over a simulated game. We're using 2K19 now. We're going to use 2K22 when it comes out. Your created wrestlers come to life. You guys can create your own wrestlers. We create them. We draft 2 shows. We're going to commentate. There's titles. It's everything. It's literally a...
You can upgrade. You go from rags to riches. You start at the lowest. You can upgrade your character by watching the stream and betting fake coin on the matches.
Promos. So basically, if you want to be a professional wrestler without actually being a professional wrestler, join us. Follow us on Twitter.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, at AWF_EFED. There is a link in the bio that you can click on to sign up for our next season, which is coming up in March. So we're going to have one last 2K19 event later on this month. And then we're going to just, me and Anna we're going to go hard for 1 week in March and just build everything. So, yes, Book of Boba Fett is such good shit. Because Jacky loves when I do this voice.
Thanks a lot.
But that's about it, guys.
And one last thing that I forgot to mention. So youtube.com/ElitePOV. We put up that clip of me doing the class Philium or whatever. Class time with Philium or whatever the fuck I called it. So if you guys want to see more short, content like that, where we take like a clip from the show, give you like a little under 10-minute segment. Let us know if that's something you're interested in. Is Top Girl Talk episode 3 is up there right now?
It drops Friday.
By the end of the week. Yeah, Top Girl Talk.
So by the end of the week,
tomorrow. You know what? Fuck it. I'm putting it up tonight. It'll be up tonight, everyone.
All right. So tonight, as you're listening to this on Thursday live, twitch.tv/ElitePOV. So Top Girl Talk will be up there. So similar to Rant on Wrestling, we are going to be in the process of making Top Girl Talk live for Patreons. We're kind of trying to figure that stuff out. But this is where we said, this year, we're really going to start to kind of build on the great stuff that we had going in the last few months of 2021 and really start to kind of make it even better in these first few months of 2022. So patreon.com/Elite POV if you want to support us there. But thank you guys for listening to another episode of Elite POV. And remember, you don't need a hat to be a cowboy. We'll see you later.